Hello and welcome to our latest webinar in the Healthy Hormones Happy You group. And my guest today is Ali Harris, who's a psychotherapist and counsellor from St Albans in Hertfordshire. Is that right?
That's right.
Oh. I was thinking Harpenden came into my mind then for some reason.
Harpenden is nearby.
Is it? Okay, yeah. That's fine. Anyway, as we said, it doesn't really matter because in these days of lockdown, which is when we're recording this, everything's being done online, including most of Ali's consultations. So wherever you are in the country, you can look her up and work with her on Zoom or by phone if you decide you'd like to. So I'm just going to adjust my view so that we're beside each other. There we go. So Ali's going to talk to us today all about body image, which of course is something that everybody struggles with probably at some point, and some people more conscious of it than others. And we've just been chatting about how during lockdown there's all these different memes around, you know, I'm going to be so fat, I'm going to be a drunkard after this. I've certainly found it harder to keep on top of my eating habits and exercise while we've been limited in what we can do. So I'm really interested to hear what Ali's got to say about how we get ourselves into these states where we are so critical and negative towards ourselves and our bodies, and some tips for overcoming those things. So over to you, Ali.
Thank you. Yeah. So when I was thinking about talking to you about this, I kind of went over mentally, where does this all start? We all have a body. It's one of the main, you know, whatever it looks like, whatever colour it is and whatever it's capable of. We all have a body. And I think if you look at, you know, little kids playing, we're not born hating our bodies. We're not born judgmental about much of anything, really. It's learned behaviour. And so I suppose that's something, it might sound really obvious, but it's kind of worth thinking, where did I get the notion that there's something wrong with my body, or that certain bodies are not okay, you know, that they should look this way or that way? I don't know if you can remember any kind of, you know, sense of what, you know, what's wrong with the body, what's good about a body. I can remember, I think I was 8 and I wanted to borrow my friend's dress and I put it on and it didn't fit me. It was too tight. And I remember kind of looking at it and kind of laughing. And then my friend said, yeah, that's not going to fit you unless you go on a diet. And I remember being like, what's a diet? And I was very kind of like, you know, but she was kind of laughing at me, like, your belly sticks out. And I didn't think she meant anything by it. But that was my first moment when I thought, oh, there's something wrong with my body. And what's more, there's something I can do about that. There's something I need to do. And so for some people, they can go quite a long time, I guess, without feeling there's anything wrong with their body. But I imagine not that long, not that far.
It shocked me recently because my little boy, he's not yet 6, next month he'll be 6, and he said one day, oh, my tummy's really fat. And I said, what are you talking about? You've got a perfect little body. And he isn't fat at all. He's just completely normal sized. And, you know, it made me quite sad. And I was a bit shocked about him saying that because you know, it's just me and him in the house most of the time. And I'm careful about my language and what I might say to be positive or negative. You know, I steer away from comments about people's size and their shape and things. So it is shocking, and I think you're right, these messages, they start to get to us very, very early, don't they?
Oh yeah. Disney films, before, you know, about that Aladdin, the opening sequence of Aladdin, the first number when he's, you know, one jump ahead of this and that, and there's this big fat woman makes like some sort of, you know, overture towards him, and he pulls away. It's disgust. You know, there's Ursula in The Little Mermaid, big fat meanie. You know, there's all these kind of common tropes of fatness being associated with stupidity. What's that guy's name? Gaston's sidekick in Beauty and the Beast. LeFou, that's it, the fool. And what is he? Small and fat. Yeah. And so, there's definitely very early these associations. I think that's the thing. It's not the body per se, it's what it means. And there's kind of a sense that actually only good things, advertising, TV, films, they kind of give us these ideas. All the heroes tend to be beautiful. If they don't start off beautiful, they end up beautiful. This idea of coming, and then once they get there, all their hardships fall away, and they get, you know, comfort and peace and love and respect and admiration. This becomes associated very strongly with the kind of body you have. And the reality is that most people don't have that body. Mm-hmm. Even if you are a very skinny person, chances are you have a flat butt or a slightly, you know, sticky outy tummy, or you might have, you know, cankles, so-called, where you don't have a distinction between your calf and your ankles. I knew a woman who's this very petite, very tiny, beautiful woman who would only wear trousers, never wear a skirt, because she said she had terrible cankles. And I worked with her for 10 years, never saw her ankles, even on the hottest day. And she was, you know, otherwise so-called beautifully proportioned. And so this idea of body image and hating ourselves is, I mean, I wonder what it would be like, you know, to not hate your body, whatever size it is, right here, right now. What if you were okay? What if you were enough? What if your body was beach ready right now and you didn't have to do a thing about it? What would that be like? Take a minute, picture it. Because actually your body is fine right now. Your body is fine. You could go on a beach in a bikini, naked if it was allowed, and your body is fine and it's good. But it's very hard to find a person that agrees with that.
Yeah, and
really believes it.
It's true. I went on a beach holiday last summer, and which was the first time in years, and I got myself a sort of tankini so that I could cover up all my bad bits, you know, and I spent the first couple of days just feeling really uncomfortable anytime I was out by the sea or by the pool or anything. And yet I was looking around at all these other bodies that were much bigger and fatter and more wobbly and flabby and cellulite than mine, and people who did not care. And I really envied these people, and was thinking, this is so ludicrous that I'm just sitting here giving myself a hard time because nobody cares. Literally nobody cares what I look like.
And even if they do care, rare is the person that's going to come up and say something to you, unless you're very fat. I've had people walk up to me and call me a fat, see you next Tuesday. Hasn't happened very often, but it does happen. I used to be very skinny, so I can see the difference in the way that I'm treated. People tend to be less rude than that, but it does, fat people get shouted at. But in general, other people's opinions are their own business, and they're probably not going to share them with you. But we're so terrified anyway, and I suppose nobody can really hate your body 9 times out of 10 more than you do. This is the thing. It feels like it's a very important thing, and this is it. Chances are, if you're trying to change your body in any way, as I said before, it's because you want to increase your chances of being treated well, of being seen as desirable, as being seen as, you know, someone aspirational, somebody worthy of being friends. And I imagine, and again, I'm happy to be told I'm wrong, if you were guaranteed good treatment, if your body didn't factor, you probably wouldn't care. You wouldn't want to change it. There are people who, you know, need to lose weight literally because, for example, they might have very sore knees and they can't stand. Then it becomes like an actual real reason to lose weight or to change your body in some way. But those people are not the norm. I guess, sorry, go on.
Well, I think while you're talking, it's made me think that there is an association, isn't there, between people sort of accusing fat people of being lazy somehow. Also that if you look at someone who's slim, you think that person's an action taker because they've got the drive and the discipline to do that workout or watch what they eat and not stuff themselves or whatever.
And a certain element of that is true, but it's interesting that we moralise the body. For example, I'm about a size 24, 26, so I'm quite big. And I have a friend, my friend Leah is very active, very thin. She has terrible cholesterol. She has to take medication. We're both in our early 40s. She has to take medication for a whole bunch of traditionally, you know, problematic areas. I go to the hospital. I have great blood pressure, great cholesterol, no problem with any of that. Okay, that might change. But thinness is not necessarily, even fitness actually, is not necessarily as highly correlated with good health and good habits as you might think. I mean, we all know somebody who's terribly thin and just lives on crap and looks great, but this is it. So again, when we talk to people about, you know, fat people or people who are overweight, about, you know, the health, but your health is like the cry, but, you know, there's no one's talking to the terribly thin people about their health. Someone has to get way past anorexic before somebody bats an eyelid. You know, they have to get properly skeletal, and so it's a shame.
I think, like you're saying, sometimes people could just be slim. They don't necessarily need to be anorexic or really underweight, but they're just not healthy. They live off rubbish, and they're probably nutrient starved, but because they look like a sort of clothes rack, they could, might look good when they're all dressed up with their makeup on, but actually are deeply unhealthy inside.
And possibly quite unhappy. And I suppose this is it, because when you try and shape the body, I suppose the tendencies, and I think the reason it gets so emotional is because when we try and shape the body, what we're doing actually is taking uncomfortable feelings about ourselves and our lives and projecting them onto our bodies, giving ourselves an illusion of control, which may sound a bit convoluted, but essentially people do this with all kinds of things. And the body is a very popular one. So when you feel out of control of something, it's much easier. We don't like to feel out of control, like this whole COVID situation, ways that people are trying to kind of manage, like sticking to a routine. These are all healthy uses of control, thinking I have no control over this. This is what I will control. It's a great way to manage anxiety. But like any defense mechanism, it's only good if it's helping you. And there's a tipping point. So, for example, it's fine to manage a bad breakup, for example, by, that typical trope of having a haircut, having a makeover, because it gives you a boost, yeah, and it makes you feel better. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with coming home from a hard day, having a glass of wine, as long as you haven't got an alcohol problem. But if you're actually then leaning on the glass of wine, and if you're having a makeover every week and you've got legions of clothes and constantly buying more, it creates a problem. You have no money, or you become an alcoholic because you're drinking too much. Any coping mechanism, when you're taking the edge off something, it's a sign that you may need to kind of think, what am I not feeling here? What is the edge I'm trying to take off? Because you're not taking the edge off anymore. You're actually obliterating how you feel. And I suppose my people who know me and have, follow my page, I constantly come back to feel your feelings, feel them, feel your feelings. And that's hard because sometimes, we've been coping the way we've been coping and feeling the way we've been feeling so long, we can't actually notice it. The feeling of feelings about your body, instead of trying to control it, is a more healthy way to manage, actually. And so this illusion of control, I'll be happy when, I'm going to shape my body, I'm going to control my body. It's a way of grabbing back control and trying to pretending this isn't a problem. I can just focus on my body. My body's the problem. I'm not the problem. My body is the problem. But of course, your body and you they're caught together. If you look at something you like, your eyes, your pupils dilate. If you're frightened, then your body dumps all those chemicals in your system to help you run away. You hate your body. You can't kind of help but end up hating yourself.
And so actually, that's really interesting because I talk a lot about hormones, as you know, and so of course the stress hormone cortisol, actually, if you're under stress because you're looking at yourself with self-hatred and thinking I need to change this and what can I do, you're going to be giving yourself a weight problem because you flick yourself into that fight or flight stage. Your digestion goes off, you're not absorbing nutrients properly, and you're just in this sort of aging burnout stage more of the time than you are in the rest and digest when your body can do its best and your brain is sort of helping you to feel emotionally stable and good about yourself. So that's quite interesting, really. And would you say that body image problems are only the preserve of women, or do you see equal amounts of men having a problem with how they look?
I've encountered very few men that have a problem with the way they look. A little bit, certainly among younger men, I guess, guys in their 20s seem to be more concerned about it. But in general, it still seems to be considered to be okay for guys to be a bit fatter, I guess. But I guess that is changing. Like, certainly I read in sort of journals and sort of more general press that they are reporting that, like adolescents are saying, at school that they need to have abs. So, this stuff it's predominantly been the preserve of women, but I guess it is filtering down to men. I guess whoever it hits, it's not a good thing. But I personally am not seeing it so much in the consulting room, but I'm aware sort of, through wider reading and other media that, certainly it is an issue. And I guess, on one level, there's a part of me as a human being that just goes, ha, suck it up, boys, join us. But the other part is just like, no, we shouldn't be doing this to ourselves. And really, it's not good to wish it on others, even if there's a bit of schadenfreude there. But
I mean, I think it may be that because sort of historically men are and biologically they're trained to not show fear or uncertainty or anything like that, so it may all be going on under the surface, but they just, and perhaps it manifests in other ways that maybe.
Yes, I see much more things like pathological jealousy is something I'm seeing a lot more, which sounds bad, but it just means, you know, people trying to control their partners, fearing that they're going to go off with somebody else. It's a separate issue, clearly, but I mean, I think that you're right. You know, these anxieties kind of are there, and they exhibited differently. I would also say that I'm seeing a lot more men coming for counselling, which surprised me. I thought when I started my practice, I would see more women than men, but actually, it's a pretty even split, and it's really heartening to see more men kind of coming for counselling and really not just showing up, but actually being ready to kind of work and being interested in chipping away, you know, like you said, absolutely, toxic masculinity, this idea that, you know, men can only do anger. And that actually, if you scrape away at anger, what you've got underneath is the full gamut of human emotions. Again. But no, I haven't seen so much body image issues with men. That's outside of my experience. Although I'm sure it's a thing, definitely, whether it's anorexia or overeating or whatever else. We're all human at the end of the day, and we all want to be loved. We all want to be approved of. And if you're fat, chances are you won't be. And the closer to the norm you are, the better you will be treated. That's often the case, for sure. But it doesn't mean you'll be any happier, I guess. And that's the thing I wanted to touch on, because a colleague of mine worked with a lady who had come. She'd lost weight by accident. She'd been really ill, and she lost quite a lot of weight, and she'd been kind of moderately overweight her whole life. And she came with this sense of body dysmorphia, really, in a way, because she didn't call it that. But she was furious that she'd lost all this weight. She didn't know who she was. She couldn't recognize herself. She felt like someone else. She was genuinely happy with herself the way she was, but she didn't know she was until she lost the weight, which came off as a result of illness. And she was left with a terrible sense of, you know, I feel like I should be feeling better. I feel like I should feel good about myself. Everyone's complimenting me on my weight loss, but I feel horrible. And I suppose that's it. And again, I don't know how, you know, what your sort of body image is and what it's been, but I spent a long time very, very skinny. I was anorexic for a while, and then I was like an obsessive gym bunny for a while, terribly thin, quite muscular, obsessed with what I ate. And now, as a pretty overweight, stressed out, in theory, mum of 3, I'm much happier. I really am. I'm so much happier. Because I've come to kind of love and accept myself, and that took 10 years of therapy. All counsellors and psychotherapists must undergo their own therapy while they train, and I got a big whack of that, because you know what it's like, you know, trying to work and study or whatever with children. So it took me a long time, which meant I had a lot of therapy, and I came out of it with this amazing sense of, oh, I'm actually okay. I'm cool with myself. I'm not the Buddha or anything. Don't get me wrong. I have my moments like anyone else, but I was like, oh my God, I'm still pretty fat, but actually I'm okay with that. And I was astonished. I was astounded. I couldn't believe it. How can I be okay with this? Yeah. But it turns out it is possible to be okay with it.
Yeah, I think
it would be nice if everyone else was okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's that joke, isn't there, that sometimes people look at a picture of themselves when they were 20 or something and say, oh, I wish I was still that fat. Because, you know, I look back on, I think like most teenagers and young women, I was preoccupied with my weight and my size and stuff when I was younger. And that was when I was absolutely tiny and had a completely fat stomach and all the rest of it. And I think through age and perhaps becoming a parent, it's, you know, I have a lot of more respect for actually what a body's capable of, that you bear a child, that you can survive illness and all sorts of different things, still come out the other side. Really, actually, it's so boring to think about food all the time. It's so boring that, you know, I think if there's anything in your life you don't like, either you change it or you shut up about it, because when we go on and on and on about something that we're, you know, if we really hate the way we look, then we all have it in our power to do something about it. And
well, up to a point. I suppose that's an interesting point, because I'm not sure that's true. If you look, someone did a study, you know, that horrible program like The World's Biggest Loser or whatever it is. Someone did a follow-up study with these people, because these people are kind of mentally and emotionally abused for our viewing pleasure. which is not, you know, exclusive to that show. There's plenty of other dubious shows like Love Island and all of that, Big Brother, where people are basically, you know, taunted for our viewing pleasure. But the follow-up was actually that, first of all, what you saw wasn't real, because these people, as they lost weight, they ended up with sagging skin, which was covered up with flesh-coloured, you know, compression garments, so that they would appear to look better than they did. They were harassed and starved and given all kinds of things to help them lose weight quickly. And almost all, well, yeah, all of them put the weight on and more afterwards. Why? Now, I mean, as a person who's all up on hormones and stuff, you probably know that diets ruin people's metabolisms, and there's plenty of studies and books out there if you want to find them, which will tell you exactly that. And actually the problem, I guess, with people who keep trying to lose weight, it makes you very unhealthy, like you mentioned, cortisol, that kind of thing. It has a terrible effect on the body. The body goes into starvation mode. A person sitting at rest, like person say my weight, just sitting doing nothing, I probably burn about 2,000 calories because of the size of my body. But if I go to MyFitnessPal and say I want to lose 2 pounds a week, it'll say I can have 1,450 calories a day. That will pop me into starvation mode. So we're set up to fail. Also, the way I deal with things like leptin, you know, that chemical, it's not going to be the same as an average sized person. So this idea that anyone who really wants to lose weight can is pernicious, in my opinion. That's probably true for a lot of people. An average sized person who's put on a little bit of weight, that's probably true. But the bigger you get, then the weirder things get. And if you've tried to lose weight a lot of times before, your body chemistry is messed up. And actually, you know, it's not impossible, but it's actually going to become very difficult. And the off-the-shelf idea of this is all you need to do, calories in, calories out, is going to become a problem, because people very often don't calculate the right number of calories for their weight and for their body chemistry. And that's not my expertise, but certainly that's something that I've learned. I don't know, perhaps I've got it wrong.
No, well, I think that's right. And it's a bit like the lottery winners who, you know, they win millions and then within a few years they're back to the same financial state that they were in before, because it's up here where the issue is, isn't it? It's not the actual physical space, it's not the actual bank balance. And
Absolutely.
it's a sad thing that you know, while we measure our own worth and other people's worth against some numbers on a scale, because it says nothing about, you know, a person's kindness or their intelligence or their warmth or their how amazing a friend they are or what a brilliant business woman they are. And you know, I think it's just a sort of ongoing battle, isn't it? Because it doesn't seem to be any different now than it was when I was young, and I feel quite grateful, even though my son obviously did make that comment about his own tummy being fat, but I feel grateful sometimes I don't have a daughter, because I think I'd be really worried about her potentially feeling that she wasn't good enough because of her size or shape or something in years to come. So tell us, what can people do to help heal themselves from this awful...
Well, I think the first thing, which I'm going to repeat myself and say, feel your feelings. And I say that because sometimes the desire to eat, especially like binge eating and junk, it's almost like a kind of pair of glasses, in the sense, you know, it's a similar kind of sensation, is that you feel a feeling and you think it's because you want to eat. And you have to kind of become micro-aware, I think, if you can, to like really develop an awareness without judgment. So a person who finds themselves eating and they get, rather than judging what you're eating, so it's switching the focus, like, oh, I must control what I'm eating. I encourage people to switch their focus actually as you eat slowly, look at your food, taste your food, forget what it is. I don't care if you're eating a Big Mac or you're eating like steamed fish and greens, I don't care. Do you like it? How does it taste? How does it feel? Don't rush, take your time, enjoy it. Don't judge it, don't calculate the calories, just enjoy it. So much of overeating and judging and worrying about food comes from this idea of, you know, the food I deserve. Is it good food? Is it bad food? How much calories? How much exercise? So much mind chatter. If you can just, it takes, you know, it's almost like a meditation to kind of sweep that away and notice as you eat, how do I feel before you eat? Am I hungry? And again, without judgment, you can eat when you're not hungry. This is not an immoral act. Your body deserves food. You deserve pleasure. This is okay. And again, it's difficult, you know, like you eat chocolate, whatever, you're used to thinking like, oh, part of the pleasure is it's kind of forbidden, it's kind of naughty. Have you earned it? Do you deserve it? Ugh, horrible, all of that, right? So feel your feelings and kind of notice your desire to control your body, to judge your body, other people's, really notice. And alongside that, to really start to try and cultivate, and I know this sounds hippy-dippy, it really does, but it totally works. Recognize that you're worthy of love right now, just as you are. You're worthy of love and comfort and food and good treatment and happiness, which may sound obvious. Like, I imagine intellectually you know that already. But do you feel it? I think a lot of people, you know, in the silence of their soul, would probably notice that they don't always feel that around food and around their bodies.
I think, sorry to interrupt, I think I like what you say about being very mindful about what you're having, because this is also something that, you know, I encourage my clients to do. It's a Chinese medicine approach to take your time over your food and to sit at a table, because there's some very high statistic of people that actually eat every meal in front of the telly, and you're kind of hunched over, you're shoveling it in because you're watching something on the screen, you're not even focused on this thing that you've just spent time preparing. Maybe you haven't even spent time preparing because all you did was bung something in the microwave or drive to the takeout, and again, you're not necessarily like nourishing all your senses and all your tastes and really savoring the whole experience, because you're just like get it in, and then there's that sort of dissatisfaction that is set up because it's like you miss a stage of the process somehow, even though the food went in. At the end of it, you think, oh, that wasn't very satisfying, I need something else now, and then you reach for the Haagen-Dazs. So yeah, I think we do need to work on being more conscious of what we do around meal times, and whether that's about making a little bit of a ritual or you know, just kind of saying I will sit for every meal at the table, and then I will go and do the rest of my day or whatever. It might help.
I'm not necessarily, I mean, the ritual doesn't sound bad, I'm not saying don't do that, but I think actually just notice what you're doing and try not to judge it. So if a ritual helps somebody, then that's great. But I guess it's sort of working out, is that going to be me trying to control it in a helpful way, in which case if that works for you, then that's brilliant. But if it becomes this kind of thing where actually you're like, oh, do you know what, I'm knackered, I've had a bit of a day, I could do with sitting on the sofa with a tub of Haagen-Dazs, that's not wrong. I think one of the reasons we end up binging is because we are so terribly, we feel in deficit all the time. We're not allowed, we can't have, we mustn't do. So that even when we do, we feel like we're not having it. You can kind of have an experience of deficit while eating, you know, your massive tub of Haagen-Dazs. And actually, if you know you can have it every day, you could have a couple of spoonfuls of Haagen-Dazs every day. You can actually have whatever you want. And that's the thing. No food is bad per se. It's your use of the food, you know, like a sword or a gun or anything. It's how you use it. You can save a life. You can end a life. You can, you know, eat your Haagen-Dazs and use it as a way of loving and nourishing yourself. And you can, you know, use it to kind of give yourself problems and beat yourself up. And so it's certainly at the beginning, where people end up is differently, but to kind of set out just going, I'm going to eat this, I deserve this, I want this. And then to notice, because I think, again, especially with binge eating, people just shove it in, like you were saying, but it's in front of the TV particularly. Apparently there's something about watching TV that kind of, I think there was a study done on that too, that kind of just makes you kind of shove it in and not taste it, not notice it. And if you watch TV, you're actually more likely to eat. So just again, kind of to think, okay, I'm eating, I notice that I'm eating. So also think about curating your social media. This was life-changing for me, mind-blowing, was that I unfollow now religiously, pretty much. Sorry, people who are, you know, the purveyors of pages that ascribe to health and fitness. I unfollow those, I block the ads, all of that. And in my feed now, especially my Instagram feed, there are millions and millions of people posting pictures of their bodies, traditionally ugly bodies, hairy bodies, scarred bodies, fat bodies, thin bodies, bodies that have been, you know, done up to the nines, and bodies that really look like they're wearing a sack of potatoes. And initially I would look at my feed and kind of register my kind of, you know, like poor Aladdin when he's meeting that big fat woman, you know, I notice my pull away, yuck, because I'm so used to seeing these perfect size 0, completely, you know, beautiful, unblemished, hairless, young bodies. I'm not used to seeing, you know, older women or fatter women, anybody looking good or looking bad. And they're out there. They're just absolutely fabulous. Sparkle Jams is excellent. Eat the Dough, Just Eat the Donut. Meg Boggs is extremely talented and very fit and healthy, extremely fat, constantly used as a before picture, an amazing athlete. And she's like, people say, you're not fat. And she said, you're strong. She's like, well, first of all, I'm both. It's okay. There's a multiverse of bodies out there. Look at them, make them part of your life so that, start to notice. There's a lot like you, on holiday. The bodies are out there. They're all around us, but we're not used to seeing them in a sort of approval situation. And it's almost like, I don't want to say aversion therapy because it kind of, but I suppose that is kind of, if I'm honest, the kind of experience I had initially was kind of like, But actually, as I kind of noticed, I kind of became used to them. And then when I became used to them, I started to genuinely appreciate them, which I never believed was possible. And this is something that I recommend to clients. And again, they start off with the same kind of, but it doesn't take as long as you think for people to be like, oh. There's this artist, I don't know if you've seen her work online, called Kat Shaw, who's asked people to send them naked pictures of themselves, women, and she paints these beautiful pictures and then, just like, has them for sale and she promotes them. But that project is one among many. It's very important, helping women to kind of see their bodies celebrated. People, whether they're amputees, they've lost a breast through surgery, they're fat, or they're very thin and feel misshapen in some way. To see them, held up and created into a beautiful piece of artwork. It takes up space.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and I think it's about getting a sense of perspective, because actually what happened to me on that holiday was that halfway through it, I very sadly heard that one of my former clients had died of cancer, and she was only in her 40s, early 40s, and she had a little boy, like I do, and that was such a sort of slap in the face, because I just thought, well, that poor woman, she will never get to sit on the beach again, no matter what she looks like. And she had lost all her hair when I was working with her and all that kind of thing because of her treatment. And she came in once or twice and said, I feel so ugly and revolting and horrendous. And of course she did, because she was going through a really terrible time. But I can genuinely say that was quite a turning point for me. And I have been much less bothered since then. And I just thought, well, it's up to me to make the most of my life. This is the body I've been given. This is the life I've been given. And if I'm going to waste it and waste my holiday sitting here giving myself a hard time because I don't look perfect, then that's my lookout. And what a shame that would be. So I just decided to get over myself. And
not when. There's lots of people say, I'll be happy when, and I'll do this when. Chuck out your goal weight clothes that don't fit you, get rid of them. And actually, why not get rid of the scale too? Because honestly, it doesn't measure your worth. And again, I know what that sounds like. There's a lot of, internal eye rolling, I'm sure, going on. But genuinely, it doesn't matter. Your weight it's the least interesting thing about you. It really is. Maybe not the least, but it's down there. your moral value is not the weight of the scale. You can use food. And exercise, all of these things. You can exercise and use it to love your body. Enjoy the movement. Again, there's lots of fat yoga everywhere. People, who thought that fat bodies can't do this, fat bodies can't do that. Go look on flipping YouTube. There are these amazing yogis of all kinds of sizes and abilities. There's people doing kind of wheelchair yoga. They're doing what they can do. Your body, whatever it can do something. Love it, nourish it, accept it. Enjoy it.
And also, when you think about it, nobody's obituary ever says, and she was a mother to and she was and she was really slim and beautiful, or she was she was a really nice person, but she was really fat and therefore nobody liked her. It doesn't happen, does it? So
I hope not.
Yeah, well, I've never
that whole body positive movement out there. And it is a lovely place to be. I mean, I suppose the other thing, if you're an average sized person, you may not be aware of the number of Facebook groups and other groups of women who, over various different holidays and other events, whether it's trying to get pregnant is one of those, where women are told a random number they have to get to in order to be considered for IVF treatment, etc. These women are meeting up in cyberspace and crying on each other's metaphorical shoulders, the things that are said to them, the way they are treated by people in the street, by doctors in hospitals, by their so-called friends and family. Just because they don't cry to you doesn't mean they're not crying. Every fat person you know is probably crying somewhere, not because they're fat, but because they are treated as though they're disgusting and they don't belong and they don't deserve any better. And so whether that's you or whether it's not, you know, everyone deserves better than that. And, you know, you were saying about, you know, the difference between things like your son versus having a daughter. And it sounds like you're doing that, but there's nothing to stop you from still talking about bodies, you know, whether he turns out to be gay or straight or whatever, you know, there's going to be a discourse about bodies for him, whatever his, you know, this whole body image thing is also centered around the male gaze. We're supposed to look attractive. And I remember there's a quote, I can't remember exactly, you may have seen it, but it's talking about how, you know, as a woman, like prettiness, attractiveness is not the rent you pay on the space marked female. I can't remember who that is, but I remember reading that. I was only about 35 and I was like, oh my God, I don't have to, it's not, if someone doesn't find me attractive, that's okay. I genuinely had to read that before I really knew that that was true. You are more than your body. And, you know, if you try and beat it like a hammer and anvil, you're only going to harm yourself. You're in there. You're in that body. You deserve better.
So, and do you feel like people's body image issues have been exaggerated by lockdown, or do you feel like some people are feeling freed by it and that they've become more comfortable with themselves and just more accepting that because they can't control the fact that you know, they can't get their regular haircut or their pedicure or whatever, and they're finally like, actually all I really want to do is go and give my mum a hug, not, you know, I don't care about not being able to go to that restaurant or buy that handbag.
Yeah, some people are being freed by it, but I saw also on our local mums Facebook group that people are kind of covertly looking for somewhere they can go and get their hair cut, begging the people they know, can I do my nails, you know, you can wear a mask. I think it'll take a lot more than lockdown to free people from that kind of stuff, because you know, some people are managing to fit in their exercise or find other ways of doing it and find that they can maintain their style. A lot of people are stressing, like you mentioned, those memes. There are memes everywhere, pictures of people like me, and that's the kind of, this is going to be, this will be coming out of quarantine. And it's like, really? Your fat friends see that. We all see that, and we all know that, you know, the worst thing in the world for you is going to be looking like me. I've got news for you. It's actually pretty good. It's not that bad. And I get to eat the whole tub of Haagen-Dazs. It's okay, because I don't give myself a hard time. And because I don't give myself a hard time about it, I find myself eating it rarely, you know? Yeah. About it rarely.
So before we wrap up, are there any other points that you'd like to add? We talked about being mindful around your food and feeling your feelings, and any other suggestions for how people can
I mean, mindful around your food, feel your feelings, and kind of enjoy your body, do whatever kind of movement, not because it's to lose weight or to sculpt your body and relentlessly push it into shapes, but to just enjoy it. And so that whatever weight you have, whether it's a lot or not a lot, you can carry it and that you feel good. It doesn't have to be punishing, I guess. And in terms of seeking support, journaling, if you can't get to how you feel, are you feeling hungry? So kind of just like write down a little bit. Again, it sounds hokey, but it helps. But you can also work with a coach. And I have to be careful because a lot of these are kind of thinly disguised diets, which again are not really going to help you. One in particular I found that seems very good is a lady called Christina Bruce Coach, and she has a very body positive sort of approach to her goal is not weight loss, it's self-acceptance. But I think if you can work towards self-acceptance, then whatever your body looks like, you're golden. You don't have to live when, because you can live now as you are. I may lose weight, I may gain weight, but as long as I don't lose the love and respect I have for myself, I really don't give a toss. That's what it comes down to. And I never thought I would ever be able to speak those words. But anyone can get there. You just have to refocus. You know, the diet industry is a multi-billion-pound thing, you know, and it keeps us small, it keeps us scared, and it keeps us underconfident. So, you know, take it back. Take it all back. Yeah. It's yours.
Yeah. I think I've noticed that I have quite a few clients who, in the initial consultation, when we talk about weight or emotions or, you know, their digestive system, they often go, oh, I've been going to Weight Watchers on and off for years, or Slimming World. So again, it's known that those clubs, in my view, they don't, you know, they help people when they go to them. I get the fact around accountability and stuff like that, but I remember this. I used to see somebody's feed talking about who'd lost a lot of weight through one of these clubs, and then one day she said, "Oh, I'm so excited! This new drink's available, and it's got no bad points with it, or, you know, sins or whatever it is." And it was just the most disgusting, preservative, sugar-laden, kind of hideous, processed drink ever. And all these people followed her because they admired her because she'd lost 4 or 5 stone or something. And I just thought, but it's the absolute opposite of health. Like we were saying, all slim people are healthy. And and I just thought, it's bad news, and that's not how I would like to encourage any woman to get healthier. And sometimes what I find is that, for instance, if a woman learns to balance her hormones, then weight loss will be a byproduct of that because her body's in balance, but it's not the thing she set out to do. And I think when you kind of take that pressure off and you just think, I'm going to get my body to a state where my cycle's regular, I'm sleeping well, I'm not having mood swings, I'm, you know...
The comfort that we want through losing weight can be gained through exactly the way that you say. And I suppose, that's the main thing, is that actually this state of deficit, of not being enough or not having enough, you won't need, I predict, no one needs to overeat or over-exercise or undereat and under-exercise, because it goes both ways. If they are feeling comfortable with themselves as a person, with their worth, with their body, if they can be comfortable however they are, these extreme behaviours are not necessary. When we go to one extreme, then, you know, the body goes to the other. You know, there was at one point, you know, where actually keeping weight on would keep you alive. You know, when we were nomads roaming around, the fat ones are the ones that lasted. The ability to lay down fat was an original plus. It kept us all alive. We don't necessarily need it the way that we did, but it's not a design flaw. And if we can accept ourselves, flaws and all, really do that, then whatever happens, you know, we're less likely to be extreme at the end of the day. In my opinion.
Brilliant. Well, I think we've covered a lot of really interesting aspects of this whole topic, and I think we could go on about this for a whole week, probably.
I really could, so thank you. Stop me.
It's lovely because I can see how passionate you are about it and about your work, and presumably to help other people get past some of these blocks from having a really full, happy life, where, you know, you don't just wake up in the morning and it's one of the first things you think about. And that's very...
It is a big part of my work. I think body image, whether it's big women, small women, medium-sized women, it tends to be women still. It is a big part of my work, and I love to do it because, you know, it sets people free, and that's...
So I know you've got a Facebook group. Do you have a website as well?
I don't have a group, I have a Facebook page. I do have a website, but it's under construction currently. So the Facebook page, Ali Harris Therapy, is the best place to go for the moment. And I'm on Instagram as well. You can find me there. But yes, the website's under construction. It's still there, but it's looking a bit odd at the moment. So
and are you taking on new clients at the moment, or are you
Yes, no, I still have some spaces at the moment. So yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so people will be able to contact you through the page, and I'll make sure the details are alongside this when it goes out. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to stay in touch and stay safe during the rest of lockdown, and see you on the other side.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Bye.